All right, let's get right into it. We're looking at what might be one of the most ambitious military projects of our time, China's master plan to control the South China Sea. And believe it or not, it all hinges on a really radical idea that's built on a very, very old principle. So, let's start with a really basic question. In this age of spy satellites and billion-dollar supercarriers, how does a country actually take control of a huge piece of water like the South China Sea? I mean, it's a massive strategic puzzle. And this is China's answer. Why build ships that can be sunk when you can build the land itself? You construct a permanent, unsinkable aircraft carrier right in the middle of the ocean. This is the whole idea behind the ocean runway, and it's designed to prove one thing. Whoever controls the land controls the sea and the sky above it. Now, what's really fascinating here is that this super futuristic strategy is actually based on a lesson from the history books. All things being equal, power based on land almost always beats power based at sea. A ship can sink. A fortress, well, that's a much tougher nut to crack. You know, this whole fortress versus fleet rivalry has played out for centuries. If you go way back to 1804, the USS Philadelphia was totally helpless against shore batteries in Tripoli. Couldn't fight back, couldn't escape. For a long time, the U.S. itself relied on coastal forts instead of a huge navy. Funnily enough, the famous naval strategist Alfred Thayer Mahan actually argued against this idea, this fortress fleet, because he thought it made navies too defensive. But now, well, 21st century technology has completely flipped that script.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. In the 19th century, a fort's cannons could control, 3 miles of ocean, tops? Today, China's island fortresses, armed with long-range ballistic missiles and their own airfields, can project power across hundreds, if not thousands of miles of sea. It's the old fortress fleet concept, but on an insane amount of steroids.
So how did they actually do it? Let's break down the two main parts of this strategy, which some people have started calling China's Great Wall of Sand. It really comes down to two things: the islands themselves and the weapons that guard them.
First up, location. We're talking about the Parasol and Spratly Islands, smack in the heart of the South China Sea. And this is not just empty water. This is one of the most critical shipping lanes on the planet. Over $3 trillion in trade passes through here every single year. You control this area, you've got incredible economic and military leverage. And the sheer scale of the construction is just staggering. China has literally vacuumed up sand from the seafloor to create over 3,200 acres of brand new land on what used to be tiny reefs. And on key spots like Fiery Cross and Mischief Reefs, they've built massive military bases. We are talking runways long enough for any bomber or fighter in their air force, deep water ports for warships, and hangars for dozens of jets. These aren't just little outposts, they are full-on fortresses.
So, here's the crucial takeaway. These islands act as the forward runways for the whole fortress. They let China park its airplanes, ships, and sensors hundreds of miles from its own coast, which gives it the power to totally dominate the skies and the seas right in the middle of this vital global highway.
Of course, building the fortress is only half the job. To be truly effective, it needs some serious cannons to keep everyone else out. And in the 21st century, those cannons are missiles.
Remember this number: 1,500 miles. That's the estimated maximum range of China's DF-21D anti-ship ballistic missile. This thing is a game changer, a weapon designed for one specific purpose: to target and kill aircraft carriers from land, hitting them while they're moving hundreds of miles out at sea.
And this brings us to the core strategy here: sea denial. See, China isn't just trying to control the sea for its own ships. The much bigger goal is to create this massive defensive bubble, a no-go zone, where it's just way too dangerous for an enemy fleet, especially the U.S. Navy, to operate. The islands are the eyes and the air cover. The missiles are the knockout punch.
Okay, so China has built this incredible fortress to control the surface and the sky. How in the world does the United States respond to that? Well, if you can't go over it and you can't go through it, you've got to go under it. And that's America's countermove.
This quote from military strategist James Holmes just nails it. The U.S. realized that trying to challenge China's land-based power head-on would be unbelievably difficult, not to mention costly. So, instead of fighting for the sky, the plan is to fight from the depths.
And that is the absolute essence of this asymmetric response. The U.S. is basically saying, okay, you can have the advantage on the surface and in the air near your islands. We're going to double down on the one place we've dominated for decades: undersea warfare.
And hey, this isn't just a theory.
It's already happening. The US is leaning hard into its huge lead in submarine tech. They're planning to significantly increase the number of attack submarines. And maybe the biggest deal of all, they've been converting old nuclear missile subs into what are called SSGNs, guided missile carriers. Each one of these can carry a huge arsenal of cruise missiles, creating this silent, invisible threat to ships on the surface and to those new island bases themselves.
So what do you get when you have one global power that dominates from the land and air, and another that dominates from the dark, silent depths? You get a very new, and frankly, a very dangerous kind of standoff.
And this is the chilling result. The surface of the South China Sea becomes a modern no-man's land. Any ship on the surface, in a conflict, would be trapped in a terrifying crossfire, threatened by Chinese missiles raining down from above and U.S. submarines hunting them from below. It's a brand new and pretty scary reality for naval warfare.
This chart really just crystallizes the whole situation. You can see it broken down perfectly. In the air and from land, China has the clear advantage with its island bases and its missiles. But under sea, the U.S. still holds a massive advantage with its submarine force. And that leaves the surface, a vulnerable shooting gallery for both sides. It's a place neither can operate safely in a fight.
And all of this leaves us with one final big question. For centuries, naval power was simple. It was about who had the biggest and best ships floating on the water. But in this new era of sea denial and undersea dominance, the old rules might not apply anymore. It really makes you think. When the surface of the sea becomes the most dangerous place to be, what does it even mean to rule the waves?